Alright, as promised, here is an update on the severe weather potential over the next couple of days, and we'll start here with Wednesday, and I think this is the big day, although things are looking kind of interesting now for Thursday as well. Here's our surface dew point and pressure map, and here is our 60-degree dew point line in there like that. You can see it clearly there. So that's our 60-degree dew point line. And this here is 1,008 millibars. This here is 1,012 millibars. And with the dynamics of the system, 1,012 is going to be more than sufficient. So we're looking at this area in here for Wednesday to be a prime area of severe weather. And that will include the risk of tornadoes. And I'll show you why here as we go forward. We'll look at our low-level jet. This is 850 millibars. And you can see here the winds are coming pretty much out of the south, maybe south-southwest across this area here. But then as we go up to 500 millibars, now they're coming out of the west-southwest, or south, at least southwest here. But they're certainly, more have more of a westerly component than they do at 850. There, you can see that clearly turning there. Go up to 300 millibars, and this is where we want to look for that ventilation in the upper part of the atmosphere. And here we can clearly see we have, these winds here are like this. Here they're like this. So this area in here is very well ventilated. As I said yesterday, we'll see what happens when you see that is the air is leaving this area here, to put it in simple terms. So air from the surface has to converge and rush in and fill that in. So you get the convergence at the surface and then rising motion into this area, and thunderstorms can really grow because we have this divergence going on in here. And we'll look here now at what's called EHI, the Energy Helicity Index. That's eventually saying how much spin is there in the atmosphere, to put it in simple terms. And here, where we have these reds and these yellows, very high volatility here. Very high probability of tornadic activity in this region here, and it's all these things where I showed the divergence, where we have the low level jet, where we have the moisture and the pressure areas converging. That's all going to lead to the SPC putting out there's a moderate risk in that same area. I just want to show you here real quick a SKU-T sounding. This is a buff kit sounding out of Oklahoma City. If we can, I can't really see that too well. That didn't show up as well as I had hoped. But I was going to show you some of the numbers, but that didn't work out too good. So we'll just skip over that. But I'll just tell you right now that the EHI number, the direct number, is 5.16. Pretty much anything over 1 or 1.5, you start looking for tornadoes. 5.16, we're going to be looking for some violent tornadoes to be forming in that area there. So, but anyway, we'll go ahead now to Thursday, and here's our 60-degree dew point line here. Very far north now. This is this darker orange here is 65, so it's very, very humid, very moist in that area. And look what's going on here with the pressures. This storm is certainly intensifying. This is 1,000 millibars up here. Here's 1,004. There's 1,008 and 1,012. And again, it's a very dynamic system. So now we're looking at a much more widespread area of severe weather potential with this system here. It almost looks like a peanut, but we'll have to see what happens here, because there's a couple of things I want to show you that might, change a couple of things. We still have our strong low-level jet, but not quite as much turning with the wind as we saw for yesterday. Here's 850, here's 500. So not as much turning of the winds. Now here's our EHI values. They're still quite impressive up in here. So we are going to be looking for the possibility of tornadoes, particularly since the surface pressures are so low in the presence of the high dew point air. So that is certainly something that will bear watching as we go forward in time there. Now we'll look here at Friday, and this is the day that we're looking for potential of severe weather in the east. There is a caveat, though, that I'm going to get to as we're looking at. Now we still have all the ingredients of the other ones. We have the high dew point air here. Here's our 60-degree dew point. Here's our 1,012 pressure line. So, this entire area here is under the gun for severe weather on Friday. But I'll go forward here and I'll show you the low-level jet still there, very clearly still there in the east. Here's our 300 millibar wind. We have our divergence here, not as strong as it was the other days, but it is there. Now here's our EHI. Now look what happened. Remember the EHI from the plains here. We had in the Midwest very high. We go forward here to Friday, and it's all of a sudden, it's dropped off significantly. Well, here's the problem that I'm looking at. When you have all these storms forming out here as the day off overnight in the evening hours, you get a lot of cloud cover that just tends to spread out across the region. And we'll switch here to AccuWeather Pro very quickly. And a lot of this cloud cover in here is not from storms that are forming, but rather from the storms the day before. And a lot of times that can cause stability. It puts a lid on how much convection there can be or how strong it can get. So even though we do have the dynamics present, the cloud cover will be a concern as far as getting storms to be severe in the eastern part of the United States through western and central Pennsylvania into West Virginia, New York, places like that. Now there can be strong storms, but I'm starting to get a little bit skeptical about the idea of severe thunderstorms for the east. But it bears watching for sure, and we'll be doing that. But for sure, we're looking at tomorrow out in this region here. I think the moderate risk is definitely warranted out in here. Wouldn't be surprised to see if a moderate risk is issued for this area for Thursday. Possibly. We'll have to see what they do there. But further east on Friday, I'm getting skeptical of that. But that's the latest update on this particular situation. We'll have more for you tomorrow.